played Dota 2 for thousands of hours, but you've always wanted something more. A reason to fight, a deeper meaning to your battles. But to know the hidden history of Dota 2, you must go on an adventure of a lifetime. An adventure into the lore!
Normally, my LoreGasm episodes are about things I have a pretty good grasp on, theories and ideas I've mulled over throughout the years, playing and nerding out with fellow lore enthusiasts, and tormenting unsuspecting talent trapped in rooms with me at events. Suffice it to say, I typically don't share things here that I feel are incomplete, but due to a high demand from the community, I feel that it's about time we talked about the new Juggernaut Arcana, the Bladeform Legacy. Now, don't get me wrong, I have theories, I've got ideas, but this story is a incomplete one. It's a story that needs to be filled in by either the Valve gods themselves or by you, the viewer. But despite my gripes and my complaints, I'm here for you, and let's just get started. This is the mysterious Bladeform Legacy set. First things first, let's get the lore they gave us out of the way, one sentence at a time. It reads, Yunero's mask has been cleaved in two, awakening the ancient souls that once lay dormant inside of it. Alright, well that's pretty interesting, so let's jump right in. Juggernaut hails from the Island of Masks, but was expelled from it for defying a corrupt lord. The Isle of Masks and Juggernaut himself have a very Japanese feel to them, so we can imagine that the Isle was separated into regions where lords ruled and fought, much like feudal Japan from the 10th to the 19th century. Juggernauts are a class of warrior from the island, much like the samurai of our universe, who serve their lords and hold swordsmanship and honor above all else. To be a Juggernaut, one must be a master of the sword, but also be proficient in religious rituals. Juggernaut himself prayed to the maker of masks, a figure who we know very little about until now. From the description above, we learned several things about Juggernaut and his people. For one, the man and the mask are two different entities. It had long been a mystery if Juggernaut was even a humanoid, his mask potentially being his actual face. But now that we know it can be broken, obviously we know the mask is a different object entirely, explaining the different cosmetic masks he can wear in the game and showing each Juggernaut most likely wore a mask that they chose. When broke, these masks could release ancient souls that were once dormant inside of it. That's very cool. This gives us a lot of information on why the masks were so special. Masks from the Island of Masks were actually vessels, spiritual urns that could hold spirits within them. Alright, let's start the headcanon. Japanese culture puts a large emphasis on ancestors and honoring their spirits. It's a common theme in many stories of warriors erecting shrines to their ancestors and carrying it with them in their journey. From the description, it appears that the Island of Masks found a way to transfer one's spirit into these special masks, using rituals performed from the maker of masks, most likely the chief religious figure, or even the god of their people. The warriors were able to literally carry their ancestors with them, passing down their family mask from warrior to warrior. This would mean Juggernaut is wearing the vessel of his entire ancestry on himself every time he goes into battle, knowing full well that one day he will join them. This would explain the massive admiration the people had for the masks on the island, and why they are so sacred. But what if it means even more? We know that the Isle of Masks was destroyed and the Juggernaut survived due to his exile. If all the residents of the Isle of Masks could be transferred to these masks, who's to say that right before the mysterious destruction, the Maker didn't transfer the people's spirits to that sole survivor's mask? Perhaps Juggernaut wears not only the spirits of his ancestors, but holds the souls of his entire people on him. Of course, that's just a headcanon theory, because there's a chance that that's not even close. After all, it did just say spirits. What if powerful creatures' souls are trapped in the mask, each holding a different violent entity that's power prevents them from being destroyed directly? All in all, we have no way of knowing which theory, if either, are correct. All we know is that the mask holds spirits, and this mask has been broken, or more accurately, cleaved. Cleaved, a interesting choice of words. which begins our first mystery of who exactly cleaved the mask. Obviously, our first suspect would be Sven, who has a skill called Greater Cleave, is a fellow swordsman, and would have the strength to both fight the Juggernaut in a duel and potentially split his mask in half. They are truly opposite, as the masked swordsman Sven fights with brute strength and heavy armor like a Western English knight, while the masked swordsman Juggernaut fights with quick agility like an Eastern samurai. But while it makes sense that Sven could have been the one to split the mask, and fellow lore enthusiasts have even wrote theories about said battle, in the end it doesn't make much sense. After all, swords like Sven's are meant to cleave through entire bodies, cutting through armor, shields, and even horses if wielded with enough force. Cleaves in Dota are also something else entirely, spreading an attack in an AoE around an original target. While Sven could have been the one to cleave the mask, one would imagine the strike would have been enough to cut Juggernaut in half completely if it landed. The cut looks more reminiscent of a culling blade strike from Axe, or even a Templar assassin side-blade attack aimed directly at the brain where she is known to attack. But suffice it to say, be it from the rival swordsman who knows enough about Juggernaut to know what he looks like under his mask,
Had I a face like yours, I too would wear such a mask.
a past love interest,
Juggernaut, is it true you and Templar Assassin used to be a thing?
or someone else, the mask was cleaved, awakening spirits within. Okay, that's the first line. Whew! Ready for line 2? These spirits have become one with Yunero, giving him both the wisdom and the fury of his ancestors. Alright, well that puts a little bit more credence in the ancestors are in the mask theory, as splitting the mask would allow them to escape and aid the Juggernaut, giving him their fury and their wisdom. And his ancestors are, dragons? What is happening here? Okay. It's time to look at the arcana physically. So the mask is split, and there's some spiritual residual energy around the cut, sure. But the important thing here is the dragon, which now flies around Juggernaut, attacks with him, and is seemingly part of him. But the dragon is also changing him. As you can see from his hands, he is becoming a dragon himself. But how can his ancestors be dragons? He's clearly not a dragon. This would be like if the dragon that was sent to watch over Mulan by your ancestors violently took over her body after her adventure was done and turned her into a horrifying monster. That ain't some Disney shit. No, this makes absolutely no sense. Unless the dragon is something else entirely. Alright, buckle in, because we're going to try to explain this arcana in a realm of headcanon you did not think was possible. Here we go. So what do we know about dragons in the Dota 2 world? We only have 2 to work with, Jakiro and Dragon Knight. Sorry, Winter Wyvern does not count, although she may be the mother of Jakiro, commenting that she should have crushed him in the nest, implying that she was present while he was but an egg. You want to get even crazier? She also comments that she personally knew Slyrak, the Dragon Knight transformed into, who could very well be Jakiro's father, but DNA test aside, that's just a theory. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. Dragon Knight's lore, in short, was that he was a dragon hunter who was hot on the trail of an ancient and powerful dragon for years. But when he found the dragon he had been questing for, the Elder Worm was so old, frail, and pathetic, he didn't even want to kill it. He left the old dragon to die in peace, but was convinced to give it an honorable death by combat by the dragon himself. But when he struck its heart, the dragon sliced his throat, mixing their blood and transferring the dragon's wisdom and strength to him as a gift. And what a gift it was. Or was it? After all, the last line of his lore asks, is it the knight that transforms into the dragon? Or is it the dragon that masquerades as a knight? Why would Slyrak, the Elder Dragon, give the gift of power to a man who was world-renowned as a slayer of his people, whose entire life was dedicated to the extermination of his kind? I don't think he did. I believe that dragons in the Dota 2 universe have a trump card that they can pull out right before their deaths. The ability to transfer their consciousness and power onto other creatures, taking over their bodies and minds, allowing them to eventually turn into dragons again and live anew. The Lone Druid comments that Dragon Knight is a member of the Ancient Dragon Clan, a people who have a certain genetic predisposition which allows the transformative powers of dragons to be more effective than usual, even if he doesn't know that he is. Perhaps that is why Slyrak is able to move freely from dragon to knight, and why the Dragon Knight and those from the Forgotten Dragon Clan make such excellent hosts. After all, if you are a dragon who many love to hunt and kill, Wouldn't it be highly beneficial to be able to hide in human form whenever you wanted to? So why am I talking about this last-ditch soul transfer attack dragons can do? Well, the Juggernaut Arcana might be the second time we are seeing it. Juggernaut is transforming into a dragon, and there's a dragon soul circling around him, attempting to become one with him. Perhaps this dragon spirit is not the thing that came out of the mask at all. Perhaps the dragon was trying to get into the Juggernaut himself, to change him into a dragon much like we have seen done to Dragon Knight in the past. But little did the dragon know that the Mask of Juggernaut had the power to absorb souls. While attempting to take the Juggernaut, the soul instead burrowed into the mask, leaving the Juggernaut spirits and ancestors to fight against the dragon spirit in the spiritual realm to protect him. But what dragon was fighting the Juggernaut, you may be asking? Well, the only other dragon in the game, of course, Jakiro. Valve has a habit of using lore to explain model changes in the game. When Luna's mount was changed, Drow got the Shadowcat set. When Zeus's base model was improved, he just had gotten a power charge from the Arc Warden. And when Juggernaut got his Arcana, Jakiro was changed as well. His ice head's icicles were sliced off. Both dragon's horns were cleanly cut from quick yet accurate blows. Perhaps the one that cleaved the Juggernaut's mask was not a man or a woman at all. Perhaps it was the two-headed dragon. In the heat of combat, they met. The two-headed dragon facing off against the last swordsman of the Isle of Mask. The Juggernaut had the upper hand, slicing the dragon vigorously in an Omni-slash-focus right on their faces. The dragon was doomed, but in one final attack, the dragon's held secret, Jakiro used his last bit of strength to dig his claws in the mask of the Juggernaut, ripping it apart as he spilled his blood into the crack. A final attempt to create a blood root and transfer his consciousness into the warrior, transforming the Juggernaut into himself. But the dragon did not expect that his soul would be fought in the spirit realm in between, as breaking open the mask released the spirits of Juggernaut to defend him. Despite which dragon soul fought its way to get in, the fire or the ice, neither could break through. And now the Juggernaut lives in limbo, the souls of two dragons attempting to transform him, as his forgotten people fight to save the last son of the Isle of Masks. And that, my friends, is the true lore of the Juggernaut Arcana. Except it isn't. You see, that shit doesn't work. How could a dragon cleave a mask? I mean, those are some big-ass claws, and there's no way that it would actually split the mask on his face. Furthermore, let's look at the last line of the lore. This symbiotic relationship has transformed the Juggernaut into something new and terrifying. A celestial force of nature. Celestial! Celestials are actual things in the Dota 2 lore. They are beings that represent elemental forces. Raijin was a celestial that was fused with a man to create the Storm Spirit. Brewmaster's father was a celestial who laid with a woman, giving Beastmaster his ability to primal split. The Burning Celestial was impressed with the General Zin, who fused with his ashes to become the Ember Spirit. You can't just become a celestial force of nature. Those are things that already exist. Unless you are telling me that the Juggernaut has become a fourth spirit, much like the Storm, Ember, and Earth, because then he would be a celestial. But that would say that the spirit was trapped inside a Juggernaut's mask and had been a celestial spirit, much like Storm, Ember, and Earth, which would mean that all the celestial spirits were actually weird-ass dragon spirits, and that would mean that the Juggernaut is the fourth spirit? What the hell would that be? The Blade Spirit? His attacks look like lightning and shit. What is going on here? And that's the problem. Nothing fits. I could try to piece together the lore, I can try to make enough wild headcanon theories to connect the dots, but in the end, we just don't have enough information to actually make sense of this damn thing. All in all, we need more. But maybe we aren't supposed to know exactly what happened to the Juggernaut just yet. Perhaps we've only seen the end of the story, and we're missing out on the beginning. Perhaps that story will be told, and perhaps not. But I have a feeling that soon, we will know the true legend of the Juggernaut Arcana. After all, we are missing a spirit, and after all, we don't know exactly what destroyed the Island of Masks. After all, the International is coming. But that's all I got for the Juggernaut Arcana lore. Is it a story of a spiritual battle between the dragon spirit and a samurai soul? Or is it the beginning of a transformation into a new celestial who fuses with the spirit of a nature's forces and man? Perhaps one day, we're gonna find out. But until then, the theories are yours and mine to create. So tell me what you think, share your own thoughts, and dig up your own facts. Because no matter who's right, we all win when we look to the lore! Whoa, you're still here, huh? Ah, super fan. All right. Well, if you're a super fan, then maybe you'll check out my new Patreon page, huh? Yeah, if you like that video, maybe you'll think about supporting me a little bit, huh? What do you think about that? Bet you didn't think that you'd get some kind of shitty advertisement for sticking around and being a loyal fan, did you? Well, guess what? There you go. That's what you get. Sucker. Just leave the video when you think it's over. It's your fault. Also, I think that it was Templar Assassin who split the mask. I mean, she was obsessed with Juggernaut, right? She studied the violent archives that killed Tinker's whole thing, and they were studying the Forces of Nature, aka maybe the Celestials, so maybe she was trying to get close to Juggernaut because she destroyed the Islands of Ask, trying to find the Celestials, which is the same way that Tinker's place exploded, and then when he found out they had an altercation, she fucking split the mask to find the Celestial. But, that's unconfirmed. Check out the Patreon, alright? Alright. See you later. Thank you.